All right, we got Corsica, Charlotte Sherlong today, and something special. I haven't even talked about it, but TurboCancer.org is getting its own vehicle wrap. Not the wrap that you usually hear from me, but I'm talking about a wrap around the car to promote this taboo now can't get rid of it issue with the vaccine, specifically Moderna. Deep State Moderna. Today, we are doing, like I said, something special. Interrogatories. We're bringing them back. We did 12 of them already for the release of turbocancer.org. I got some more questions. Guys, they're not sending in enough. I haven't been able to do this because, and I loved it. I wish I could do like, 5 of them a day, but my volume, my traffic's gone down a little bit, and YouTube's never been good. I've always been shadow banned from that site, but we have a lot more. We have Substack, we have Rumble, we have a few more. Going to look into Truth Network. That's what the spirit, with the new administration, where we've always been friends with some bigger names, way bigger than us. Humbly, I have to say, I'm talking people with credentialed doctors. Dr. McCullough, Dr. Makis. Dr. Makis don't talk a lot to any of his followers, but Peter interviewed me. That's on turbocancer.org, as well as Todd Callender. Some other attorneys have. Well, I interview a ton of attorneys, but including my favorite was Reiner, and we bless Reiner right now. So for interrogatories, like I said, keep them coming, keep them coming. So let's start with the first one. We're gonna try to get we try to do these in twos. We've been doing like in the past, but it's been slow. Come on, guys. All right. So this one is tell me something about yourself that people don't know, but you want them to know more. I feel like we've had this one before, but whatever. If we have, we have. If we haven't, I forget a little bit with the cancer going to my brain. I'm gonna answer this one because it gives me an open forum to say something, like the question said, something that people don't know. Okay. And I'm gonna be transparent. I always gotta be transparent, even if there's current litigation going. I want to be transparent because I'm always on the righteous side. Following God, you will be. And attorneys sometimes have to pick a client that's seedy. That's where the money's at. Defending, especially white collar, blue collar defense. So something about me is I whistleblow more than just COVID. Okay, so I have an extensive network of legal professionals, well over 7,500, and I would say at least a third of those, so 2,500, are DC connections. So I move attorneys from the public sector to the private sector. I rarely bring them from the private sector to the public sector. That's just not my game, or was my game when I was, fully into it. So I have a ton of DC. So that includes like the CFPB, which is Consumer Finance, the FTC, which has an HR, I can't think of the full number, bill for whistleblower retaliation and payments for FTC whistleblowing. But I love those guys. I usually steal their talent or use their whistleblower program. So the FTC, something people don't know, is I'm not a one-time guy with whistleblowing, and I'm not ashamed. But I pray for the people I have to turn in, because not that I'm always right with who I turn in. I primarily am if it's, emissary work, but I do it a lot. So, not a rookie, right? So, the FTC, again, I don't, let me pause this and get the HR. No, you know what? I'll put it on the graphics or the below piece there. But they have a proposed bill to pay like 10 to 30% of fees. And one of the things the FTC has been cracking down on, and I mean cracking hard, are fake reviews. And lawyers, well, I agree they should know better because they're lawyers. They are just ignorant to it. And what is a sanction penalty? It is steep. It is steep. Lawyers make a lot, so I don't even want to say they can afford that. They have been my lifeblood. I love my lawyers, and I utilize them. I don't want to attack them, but when they think they can attack God's people, Lord's servant, God's friend, whatever you want to call me, I'll take Messianic, I'll take fellow Bible Jew, I'll take whatever you want to throw at me. I don't care. Because righteousness and God always wins. Every single time. Read your Bible, people. So the FTC, let's talk about them more. So they, when I found this out, and God showed it to me, 51,000 like 744. It has a very precise number. I can't think of the exact, but it's right around $51,000 plus. I think it's closer to 52, but let's round down just to show the emphasis of, what if you have 900, 1,100 reviews and you're some, blue collar criminal lawyer who's making like, 200,000, or even if you're making like $1 million, I'm seeing some of these fines. If 90%, 95% are false, I'm talking about big old sums. I'm talking about, there's one attorney, I really like the guy who's, he's done some work for me. I don't know if I want to say. We'll say some work for the state, but he's done some work, and he's calculated at like over $50 million if I decide to turn them in. But there are a lot in the DC and Charlotte metros. Those are my two biggest metros. So multi whistleblower is something I want people to know. Why? Because if it's my assignment from God, but awareness is more of it, because it's not just the FTC. It's the consumer protection. There's a few boards. There's unfairness. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know all the section codes by heart. I would if I was one of the relevant ones, but and you guys probably do. My legal scholars here, so. I want to talk more about that. That's these huge sums. Why is God cracking down on it? Because God says in the Bible, one of the 7 things that He despises is lying lips, guys. So if you're having other people lie for you, and if you're just spinning a bunch of lies, then something's going to happen. For every cruel action, there is an equal to greater rebuking reaction. And if I am the servant for that, through my agency being part-time and upping our whistleblowing, while we're upping our emissary work like turbocancer.org or the COVID audit, whodostop.com, if I'm doing that, enough, I'm going to get a name out there. Now, I always had a name for whistleblower retaliation due to one firm, and that's going to be our question number 2. And I'm not going to name the firm, I'm just going to name some of the actors. So, all right, that's question 1. All right, so question number 2. I'm really happy that it was asked. It says, I like snarky ones. I don't think it's snarky. I think this is a good question. It says, you seem to bash a lot of lawyers. Are there any you respect? All right. Yes, many. I respect many. I'm in litigation right now, and that's going to be where my answer is. So there is an attorney that works for a powerhouse litigation firm called James McElroy and Deal, and my family utilized them way before me, and they do high-end litigation, really. But they also touch family law, which, that's disgusting to me. And this attorney is not in family law, although I could crack a joke from a witness standpoint, it might be. But John Burek at James McElroy and Deal, more than respect him, I respect the position he's been put in. Because you always want, to. In Lincoln Douglas debate, when I did that, which I wasn't very good in, they switched sides, And again, I told you my family represented them. And I've asked, I think he can't touch my family right now because we always make money for James McElroy Deal, my family. But I even, how sincere I am in answering this question, I even recommended him to my mom, even though he's made I don't know. He hasn't disclosed yet, but if I have to ask, I will. It's not a small sum, but I respect his position he's been in. I respect that at his age, he's not old at all by any means, but he's older than me, and I still see growth in the guy. I met him years back, probably like 7 years back at a function downtown Charlotte where my bosses utilized him too. So my mom utilized his firm. But he's been opposing counsel for me, which is why I respect him, because I can see myself in his position, and I got to cross-examine him. I told you about the family witness. I got the cross-examination. The guy, he stood up to me, and I have to interview lawyers all day long. That's what I do. So I can tell when they're lying. I can discern that in a swift. So I don't want to give myself credit. I didn't know he was showing up to cross-examine, but he held up. He said, well, I don't want to talk about my case. I don't want to talk about my case. But I do respect the guy quite a bit. He did say once that I don't say bad things about him. He advised me not to even make videos, but we know about First Amendment if you're on the righteous side, okay? Don't go using your First Amendment or you'll end up, committed if you go against the wrong people. So, John Burek, you've handled yourself in a tough situation. We're here to make more money on you, okay? So don't ignore my mama. She speaks highly too. He walked her to, like a gentleman, he walked her to the car when I had to face a dose of, let's say, pride growth myself. And yeah. Now, can he grow? Yeah, anybody can. Everybody can. Everybody can. That is a truthism. I'll grow in semi-retirement a lot. And I need the growth. I'm like average height for a woman. John Burek is one that I respect. Let me think of any honorable mentions right off the top. Uh, this is gonna this is gonna surprise some people. Because I am brutal with defense attorneys. I can't even defend, me or for middling charges as a first time. Uh, I'm not even gonna call myself an offender. I don't feel that way. But it's gonna surprise somebody. I respect Jeff Thompson of Arnold and Smith because they are on the courthouse in you know what, Monroe. Like they're right there, and they have to deal with me. But why I respect Jeff Thompson? Well, Georgia is a good law school. I love Georgia law school resumes. Just like, for in the South, that's one of the best you're gonna get. A but I don't do a lot of criminal law defense. I met the guy like 3 or 4 years ago, and he he had to pretend to be a friend of the court. When here's what I respect him. He's the worst liar I've ever seen, but he's put in a bad position to not even be retained by me, but have to recounter me all the time because the Lord is doing work on him, just like John Burek. John Burek's work, I don't want to discuss what the Lord is doing with him. That's not anybody's, business. That's a little more personal. Jeff Thompson, I just want to laugh every time. Like, my agency's actually gifted him in a funny way. One of my guys actually delivered some gifts his way, but they were like kind of, so you give somebody a gag gift. There was a couple of gag gifts in there. But I respect him because when I see him, like, I could probably make fun of this. I don't think he'll care. He has thick skin. You have to as a lawyer. But he reminds me of a ginger Jim Carrey in Liar Liar, where he's just holding his mouth, but anything that comes out of it is just like just a bad lie. He is the worst liar I've ever met. Would I go golf with him? I don't golf. No, I made that up. I know that whole firm. That's like what those guys do for some reason. I'm not. I play tennis. I'd play tennis with him. Absolutely. This person who answered this question, I wonder if they know him. No, he's not international or national like some of the attorneys that I work with, some of my DC attorneys. In the last question, I work with, some bureau guys and some agency guys. And mostly the private sector is where I'll do lateral attorneys. But so I did answer a question. I might have surprised a couple people about attorneys I respect. Yeah, if you're put into the fire, you're tested, okay? These guys are tested, for sure. Now, will they have to repent because they were on the other side of me? Yeah, they have to. Does that include recompense where they have to talk to me face to face and, deal with me? Yeah, that's what recompense means. That means you are making up to the actual person. You're not just going right to God or right to Jesus or right to, prayer and hoping it all works out. You gotta go right to the person. And if the person asks for help, you have to do it, especially if you're wearing that burden of being on the wrong side of the ethical equation. That prevents things like ethics violations, civil lawsuits, stuff like that. So even for those guys, I respect. I be on the right side because in the end, God wins every single time. It might feel like mid or the long term we don't control timing, but God wins, God wins, God wins. We got a song by Kanye coming out. We got TurboCancer.org song just released, guys. We got a lot going on. Turbo Cancer ain't gonna bring me down, nor is middling charges for a one-time offender or anything that I have to use habeas corpus on for my doctor's notes being ignored. Guys, I will talk to you about what's going on in the market. There are amazing things happening right now. I pray for commercial real estate to boost up again. When commercial real estate goes up, everything goes up in legal, in my assessment. Okay, and as far as bottom feeding classifications, Sodoma law, you have been warned. Okay, Sodom little sister, you're not going to win, okay? You're not going to be God, okay? That's the other thing. But most people, you don't know who that bottom-feeding Sodom law is. So I digress. I want to end this interrogatories by blessing everybody. Of course, you do know my sincere blessing by now if you've been following Deuteronomy 1:11. There's no better. Actually, Daniel 12:3 is good too. If you get the Deuteronomy 1:11 from me, it is blessing, honest, sincere, sometimes adversarial counselor, but remember Genesis 12:3, guys. Look at my pattern, learn from that. Don't just learn from Turbo Cancer stuff, and don't discredit me for overcoming what I'm overcoming. But Genesis 12:3 always says, blessings to those who bless others. It's not just Israel, it's a way of life, guys. So understand that. Love you guys, and signing off.